Admiral ZYX-Thor's tentacles writhed nervously as he stared at the holographic display aboard the Imperial dreadnought Eternal Dominion. The massive warship, stretching over 12 kilometers in length, was the pride of the Galactic Empire's Third Fleet. Its crystalline hull gleamed with the power of 1,000 suns, and its weapon systems could crack planets in half. Yet something on the scanner made the seasoned admiral's blood run cold. Tactical Officer Krelon, run another deep scan of that contact, ZYX-Thor commanded, his voice carrying the authority of 3 centuries of military service. The insectoid officer's compound eyes reflected the scanner's glow as his clawed appendages danced across the control interface. Admiral, the readings are impossible. The contact appears to be a single vessel, roughly 800 meters in length. Mass readings suggest standard durasteel construction with some unknown composite materials. Show me the visual, ZYX-Thor ordered. The main screen shimmered, revealing what looked like a primitive metal tube with angular protrusions. The ship's design was crude by Imperial standards, lacking the elegant curves and energy field generators that marked advanced civilizations. No flowing biomechanical elements, no crystal matrices, no dimensional phase shifters. Just metal and what appeared to be chemical propulsion systems. "Sir," Communications Officer Velterra spoke up, her melodious voice carrying an undertone of confusion. "We're receiving a transmission from the unknown vessel. They're using primitive electromagnetic radiation. Radio waves, Admiral." The bridge fell silent. Radio waves. The Galactic Empire hadn't used such crude communication methods for over 10,000 years. Most civilized species had moved beyond electromagnetic spectrum communication before they even achieved interstellar travel. "Put it through the translator matrix," ZYX-Thor commanded. Static filled the bridge before a voice emerged, speaking in what the translator identified as a language called English. The voice was calm, almost casual. "Unknown vessels, this is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Federation ship Indomitable. You are in violation of the Terran quarantine zone established by Galactic Council Resolution 2847. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." ZYX-Thor's main tentacle coiled around his command throne's armrest. Terran quarantine zone? The third spiral arm had been marked as uninhabited space for millennia. The Empire's own surveys had confirmed no intelligent life in this region. "Admiral," Tactical Officer Krelon's voice cracked slightly. "I'm detecting massive energy signatures from that primitive vessel. The readings don't make sense. Their power output it's impossible." "Explain," ZYX-Thor demanded. "Sir, according to our sensors, that ship is generating approximately 47,000 terawatts of power. Our dreadnought generates 12,000 terawatts at maximum output. The energy signatures suggest they're running some kind of controlled fusion antimatter hybrid reaction. We've never seen anything like it." The Admiral's secondary brain kicked into overdrive, processing the implications. A species using primitive radio communications shouldn't possess energy generation capabilities that exceeded the Empire's most advanced technology. It was like discovering a Stone Age tribe that had somehow learned to harness the power of black holes. "Sir," Communications Officer Velterra reported, "they're transmitting again." "This is Captain Chen. I'll assume your translation systems are working by now. You have 30 seconds to respond before I consider your presence a hostile act." "Hostile act?" ZYX-Thor almost laughed. The Imperial Third Fleet consisted of 1 dreadnought, 4 battlecruisers, 12 heavy destroyers, and 48 escort frigates. Their combined firepower could sterilize entire star systems. What could one primitive vessel possibly do against such overwhelming force? "Open a channel," ZYX-Thor ordered. "Unknown vessel, this is Admiral ZYX-Thor of the Galactic Empire's Third Fleet. You will stand down immediately and prepare to be boarded. Your species' primitive technology poses no threat to Imperial forces." The response came almost instantly, and there was something in the human's voice that made the Admiral's skin crawl with unease. "Admiral, I'm going to give you some free advice. Turn your fleet around and leave this system immediately. You don't want to test human resolve today." "Tactical, prepare the primary weapons array," ZYX-Thor commanded. "Target their engine section. We'll disable them for boarding." "Sir, I'm detecting movement from the human vessel. They're turning toward us." On the main screen, the crude-looking ship began a slow rotation, bringing what appeared to be its forward section to bear on the Imperial fleet. As it moved, previously hidden weapons ports began to open along its hull like the petals of some mechanical flower. Energy spike! Krelon shouted. Admiral, their power output just jumped to over 200,000 terawatts. That was impossible. ZYX Thor had seen the energy requirements for such power generation. The ship would need antimatter reactors the size of moons, or perhaps even controlled stellar fusion. Yet the vessel before them was a mere 800 meters long. Sir, Velterra's voice was barely a whisper. I'm detecting quantum signatures from their ship. They appear to be charging some kind of exotic matter weapon system. Exotic matter weapons were theoretical constructs that the Empire's best scientists claimed were impossible to create or control. The energy requirements alone should have vaporized any ship attempting to house such technology. Multiple contacts. Krelon's voice rose to a near panic. Admiral, I'm reading 24 additional ships decloaking around the human vessel. Same configuration, same impossible power signatures. ZYX Thor felt his 3 hearts skip beats in unison. 25 ships, each apparently capable of generating more power than his entire fleet. Ships that had remained completely invisible to the Empire's most advanced sensor technology until they chose to reveal themselves. This is Captain Chen. Last warning, Admiral. Leave now, or face the consequences. Admiral, his strategic analysis officer, a crystalline being named Shard 9, spoke for the first time during the encounter. Recommend immediate withdrawal. The tactical situation is unprecedented. ZYX Thor studied the tactical display. His fleet was completely surrounded. The human ships had positioned themselves with mathematical precision, covering every possible escape vector while maintaining perfect firing solutions on every Imperial vessel. How, he whispered. How did primitives achieve such technology? As if reading his thoughts, Captain Chen's voice came over the communication channel again. Admiral, humans have been preparing for this day for 800 years. Ever since the first Imperial Scout probe stumbled into our system and we reverse-engineered its technology. We've had plenty of time to improve on your designs. The revelation hit ZYX Thor like a quantum torpedo. 800 years ago, the Empire had indeed lost a deep space reconnaissance probe in this region. The craft had been written off as a navigation error, lost in the void between stars. The Empire had never bothered to mount a search and rescue operation for a single automated probe. Impossible, he breathed. You couldn't have learned our technology from a single probe. Chen's laugh echoed across the bridge, and there was no humor in it. Admiral, humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When we realized we weren't alone in the galaxy, and that the neighbors had technology thousands of years ahead of ours, we had 2 choices. Hide and hope you never found us, or prepare for war. Your probe told us everything we needed to know about Imperial technology. Your weapons, your shields, your propulsion systems, even your communication protocols. We spent 8 centuries studying, adapting, and improving. Every piece of Imperial tech we could reverse engineer, we made better. Every weakness we found, we exploited. Tactical Officer Krelon's voice cracked as he read his instruments. Admiral, they're right. Our shields are useless against their weapon signatures. They're using quantum-coherent particle beams that will pass right through our defensive grids. And their hull composition, it's some kind of programmable matter that adapts to incoming fire. The human captain continued, her voice growing harder with each word. We also learned about the Empire's expansion policies. Planet killers, species enslavement, cultural genocide. 37 million sentient species extinct because they couldn't defend themselves against Imperial civilization. ZYX Thor's tentacles went rigid. The human knew about the Empire's standard colonization protocols. Those procedures were classified at the highest levels of Imperial command. We decided humans wouldn't become number 37 million and 1, Chen said. So we prepared. We built ships that could match your technology and crews that could outfight your soldiers. We developed weapons that could crack your dreadnoughts like eggs and defenses that could shrug off your planet killers. And we waited. The tactical display showed the human ships beginning to move in a complex pattern around the Imperial fleet. Their movements were precise, coordinated without any visible communication between vessels. It was as if they were controlled by a single mind. Admiral, Shard 9's crystalline voice rang with mathematical certainty, Their formation is a classic Thanatos configuration. Impossible for any fleet to execute without quantum-linked battle computers and reaction times measured in nanoseconds. The processing power required exceeds anything the Empire possesses, ZYX Thor finished. His strategic training told him everything he needed to know. The humans had not just matched Imperial technology. They had surpassed it. "This is your final warning, Admiral," Captain Shen's transmission cut through the bridge chatter. "Your empire has spread across the galaxy like a plague, consuming civilizations and leaving dead worlds in its wake. That ends today. Turn around and tell your superiors that humanity is no longer hiding." ZYX Thor looked at his tactical display one last time. 67 Imperial warships surrounded by 25 human vessels that outclassed them in every measurable category. Ships crewed by a species that had spent 8 centuries preparing for this exact moment. The Admiral had fought in 100 battles across 50 star systems. He had never retreated from an enemy force. But he had also never faced an enemy that had studied his civilization's technology for 800 years and improved upon it. "All ships," he commanded, his voice heavy with defeat. "Prepare for emergency jump to hyperspace. Set course for Imperial Center. Maximum velocity." "Sir," Communications Officer Velterra asked, "what should I tell Imperial Command?" ZYX Thor stared at the human ships as his fleet began its hasty retreat. Ships built by a species the Empire had dismissed as primitive. Ships that could have destroyed his entire fleet in minutes if their captain had chosen war over warning. "Tell them," he said slowly, "that the galaxy just became a much more dangerous place." As the Imperial fleet jumped to hyperspace, Captain Chen watched their departure from the bridge of the Indomitable. Her executive officer, Commander Torres, approached her command chair. "Should we have let them go, Captain? They'll report back to Imperial Command." Shin smiled grimly as she watched the last Imperial ship disappear into hyperspace. "That's exactly what I want them to do, Commander. It's time the galaxy learned that humans don't surrender." Behind them, the Earth Federation's first deep space fleet maintained its position in what had once been neutral space. 25 ships that represented 8 centuries of human ingenuity, determination, and preparation for a war they had hoped would never come. But, now that war had found them, humanity was ready. Emperor Vashtok the Eternal sat upon his throne of crystallized starlight, his massive form radiating the power that had ruled the galaxy for 12 millennia. The throne room of the Imperial Palace stretched for kilometers in every direction, its walls lined with the preserved remains of species that had dared to defy the Empire. Today, however, the Emperor's attention was focused entirely on the trembling Admiral who knelt before him. "Explain to me, Admiral ZYX Thor," the Emperor's voice boomed through the vast chamber, "how an entire Imperial fleet retreated from a single system occupied by primitives." Admiral ZYX Thor's tentacles writhed against the polished floor as he struggled to find words that wouldn't sound like madness. "Your eternal magnificence, they were not primitives. The humans possessed technology that exceeded our own capabilities in every measurable parameter." The Emperor's 4 eyes blazed with fury. Each eye was the size of a human head, and they had watched civilizations rise and fall across the galaxy. "Impossible. Our science divisions confirmed that this region of space contained no advanced civilizations. Our surveys were completed by the Scientific Directorate itself." "Your Magnificence," ZYX Thor raised his head slightly, "the humans claim they reverse-engineered our technology from a probe lost 800 years ago. They have had centuries to study and improve upon Imperial designs." A new voice cut through the throne room's acoustics. High Scientist Mordun, the Empire's chief technological advisor, stepped forward from behind one of the massive pillars. His cybernetic implants glowed with processing power as he analyzed the Admiral's report in real time. "Impossible," Mordun declared. "A single probe could not provide sufficient technological foundation for such advancement. But quantum mathematics alone would require computational systems beyond any known civilization." ZYX Thor activated his personal data recorder, projecting the sensor readings from his encounter with the human fleet. The holographic displays filled the air above the throne room floor with streams of impossible data. "These are the power signatures we recorded, High Scientist. 25 vessels, each generating energy levels that exceed our dreadnought capabilities by orders of magnitude." Mordun's cybernetic eyes whirred as they processed the information. For several long minutes, the only sound in the throne room was the subtle hum of quantum processors analyzing data that shouldn't exist. These readings suggest controlled antimatter fusion hybrid reactions. Mordun finally spoke, his voice carrying a note of disbelief. The energy containment systems required would need to manipulate spacetime itself. Such technology is purely theoretical. Emperor Vashtok rose from his throne, his massive form casting shadows across the entire chamber. When he spoke, his voice carried the weight of absolute authority. Theories do not retreat imperial fleets, High Scientist. Admiral ZYX Thor, show us the visual records of these human vessels. The holographic projectors shifted, displaying the crude-looking human ships in three-dimensional detail. To most observers, they appeared primitive, almost barbaric in their simple metal construction. But Mordun's enhanced vision caught details that organic eyes might miss. The hull composition appears to be programmable matter, he observed. Notice how the surface structure shifts and adapts. This suggests nanotechnological control systems operating at the molecular level. And these weapon ports. He paused, his processors working overtime. They're configured for quantum coherent particle projection. Such weapons would render our defensive systems useless. General Thackeron, the Empire's supreme military commander, stepped forward from his position near the throne. His scarred carapace bore the marks of 1,000 battles across the galaxy, and his strategic mind had conquered countless star systems. Your Magnificence, Thackeron's voice carried military precision. If Admiral ZYX Thor's reports are accurate, we face a strategic situation unlike any in Imperial history. A species that has specifically prepared to counter our technological advantages. Prepared how? The Emperor demanded. ZYX Thor activated another data stream, displaying the recorded communications from Captain Chen. They claim to have studied our expansion patterns, our military tactics, even our colonization protocols. The human commander knew classified information about Imperial operations. The throne room fell silent as the implications sank in. Imperial security protocols were among the most advanced in the galaxy. The idea that a previously unknown species had penetrated those defenses was almost inconceivable. High Scientist, Emperor Vashtok's voice cut through the silence. What do our current intelligence networks tell us about this humanity? Mordun's implants flickered as he accessed the Empire's vast database systems. Scanning all records, no significant references to humans in any Imperial database. However, he paused, his expression growing troubled. I'm detecting gaps in our survey data for the third spiral arm region. Gaps that appear to have been deliberately created. Elaborate. Someone has been systematically removing information from our databases. Survey reports, probe telemetry, even astronomical data. The deletions are so sophisticated that our security systems never detected them. General Thackeron's claws scraped against his armor as he processed this information. Your Magnificence, this suggests a level of technological infiltration that should be impossible. Our quantum encrypted databases are protected by systems that took millennia to develop. Emperor Vashtok began to pace, his massive form moving with surprising grace across the throne room floor. Each step caused subtle vibrations that could be felt throughout the palace. Admiral, he commanded, tell me exactly what this human captain said about Imperial expansion policies. ZYX Thor's tentacles coiled nervously as he recalled the conversation. She mentioned 37 million extinct species, Your Magnificence. She referred to our colonization procedures as cultural genocide and spoke of planet killers as if she knew the technical specifications. The Emperor stopped pacing. In 12,000 years of rule, he had overseen the expansion of Imperial civilization across most of the galaxy. The transformation of primitive worlds into productive Imperial territories was a source of great pride. The fact that some unknown species had been studying and judging those policies was deeply disturbing. High Scientist, I want a complete analysis of human capabilities based on Admiral ZYX Thor's data. Use every resource available to the Scientific Directorate. At once, Your Magnificence, Mordun bowed before activating his quantum communication implants to contact the Empire's most advanced research facilities. General Thackeron, mobilize the first and second fleets. If these humans pose a genuine threat to Imperial expansion, they must be dealt with decisively. The general's scarred features twisted into what might have been a smile. Your Magnificence, the first and second fleets combined represent over 3,000 warships, including 12 planet killers and the Imperial flagship Galactic Dominion. No force in known space can stand against such power. And, yet, ZYX Thor interjected carefully, the human commander seemed confident that 25 ships could destroy my entire fleet. She spoke as if humanity has been preparing for full-scale war with the Empire. Emperor Vashtok turned his four eyes toward the trembling admiral. You believe they were capable of destroying your fleet? Your Magnificence, their tactical formation was perfect. Their power signatures were overwhelming. And, their weapons systems appeared designed specifically to counter Imperial technology. If they had chosen to attack rather than warn us. ZYX Thor's voice trailed off. Your Eternal Magnificence, High Scientist Mordun's voice carried a new urgency as data streamed through his cybernetic implants. I'm receiving preliminary analysis from the Scientific Directorate. The energy signatures recorded by Admiral ZYX Thor's fleet are consistent with technology that shouldn't exist for at least another 1,000 years of Imperial development. The throne room erupted in angry voices as various Imperial officials attempted to process the implications. The Empire had ruled the galaxy for 12 millennia precisely because no other species possessed comparable technology. The idea that some unknown civilization had not only matched but exceeded Imperial capabilities challenged the fundamental assumptions upon which their civilization was built. Emperor Vashtok raised one massive hand, and instant silence fell across the chamber. High Scientist, what does your analysis suggest about human capabilities? Your Magnificence, if these readings are accurate, humanity possesses technology that would allow them to match our largest fleets with significantly smaller numbers. Their ships appear to be more advanced than anything in the Imperial arsenal. Impossible, General Thakkaron growled. No species achieves such advancement without conquering others. Military pressure drives technological development. A species that remains isolated cannot possibly match the Empire's research capabilities. Unless, Mordun said slowly, they had access to our technology as a starting point. 8 centuries of focused development, with Imperial designs as a foundation, could theoretically produce such results. Emperor Vashtok resumed his pacing, each step echoing through the vast chamber. Admiral, you mentioned that this Captain Chen delivered an ultimatum. What were her exact words? ZYX Thor's tentacles writhed as he recalled the encounter. She said that humanity was no longer hiding, Your Magnificence. She told me to inform Imperial Command that the galaxy had become a more dangerous place. A declaration of war, General Thakkaron observed. They're challenging Imperial authority directly. No, the Emperor said thoughtfully. A warning. They could have destroyed Admiral ZYX Thor's fleet but chose not to. This suggests they prefer diplomacy to warfare, but possess the capability for both. High Scientist Mordun's implants flashed with new data. Your Magnificence, I'm detecting unusual quantum signatures throughout the third spiral arm region. It appears that human ships are moving into multiple star systems simultaneously. The implications hit everyone in the throne room at once. If humanity possessed the technology and numbers to establish a presence across multiple star systems, they represented more than just a local threat. They could potentially challenge Imperial expansion across an entire arm of the galaxy. Emperor Vashtok returned to his throne, his massive form settling onto the crystallized starlight with the weight of absolute authority. General Thakkaron, delay the fleet mobilization. I want more intelligence before we commit to military action. Your Magnificence, surely the Empire's military might cannot be challenged by any single species. The Empire's military might is based on technological superiority, General. If that superiority has been compromised, we must reassess our strategic position. The Emperor's four eyes fixed on Admiral ZYX Thor. You will return to the third spiral arm with a diplomatic vessel. Establish communication with this Captain Chen and determine exactly what humanity wants. Your Magnificence, ZYX Thor protested, the humans have already made their position clear. They oppose Imperial expansion. Then, we will discover whether they oppose all Imperial expansion, or simply expansion into their territory, Emperor Vashtok declared. The Empire has ruled this galaxy for 12,000 years. We will not be intimidated by a species that chooses to hide in the void between stars. But, as the Imperial Court dispersed to carry out their Emperor's orders, none of them noticed the subtle vibrations in the quantum fields surrounding the palace. Vibrations that indicated someone was monitoring their conversation from a very long distance away. In the depths of space, aboard the Earth Federation flagship Terra's Might, Admiral Helena Vasquez reviewed the intelligence gathered by humanity's most advanced surveillance technology. The quantum tap systems developed from Imperial probe technology allowed real-time monitoring of conversations anywhere in the galaxy. Interesting, she murmured to her intelligence officer. They think we're hiding in the void between stars. They have no idea how long we've been watching them. Should we inform Captain Chen that they're sending a diplomatic vessel? The officer asked. Admiral Vasquez smiled coldly. Let them come. It's time they learned what 8 centuries of preparation really means. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the Indomitable, watching as the sleek Imperial diplomatic vessel approached through the asteroid field that concealed humanity's first deep space naval base. The facility, designated Omega Station, had been under construction for 3 centuries, hollowed out from the core of a massive asteroid and equipped with technology that made it invisible to Imperial sensors. Contact bearing 0 Mark 7, distance 50,000 kilometers and closing, announced Lieutenant Commander Park from the tactical station. Single Imperial vessel, modified courier class. No weapons signatures detected. Chen nodded without taking her eyes off the approaching ship. Transmit approach vectors to their navigation computer. Guide them to docking port 7. Through the reinforced transparent aluminum windows, she could see the evidence of human preparation stretching into the distance. Hundreds of ships floated in perfect formation around the asteroid base, their hulls gleaming with the dull sheen of programmable matter armor. Each vessel represented decades of research and development, built in secret shipyards hidden throughout the outer system. Captain, Communications Officer Wells spoke up from his station. We're receiving a transmission from the Imperial vessel. They're requesting permission to dock and formal diplomatic contact with human leadership. Put them through, Chen commanded. The main communications screen activated, revealing a being unlike any in Imperial records. The creature stood roughly 3 meters tall, with translucent blue skin that seemed to shift colors based on emotional state. 6 delicate arms moved in complex patterns as it spoke. I am Ambassador Korthal of the Diplomatic Corps, the being announced in carefully modulated tones. I request formal audience with the leadership of the human species to discuss matters of mutual galactic importance. Chen stepped forward, her expression neutral but her eyes alert for any sign of deception. Ambassador, I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Federation Navy. You may dock at the coordinates we're transmitting. However, understand that this station exists in what we consider human sovereign territory. Human sovereign territory? Korthal's skin shifted to a pale yellow, indicating surprise according to the diplomatic files stolen from Imperial databases. The Galactic Empire recognizes no such territorial claims in this region of space. The Galactic Empire recognized no intelligent life in this region either, Chen replied smoothly. Yet here we are. Dock your vessel, Ambassador. We have much to discuss. 2 hours later, Ambassador Korthal found himself in a conference chamber that challenged everything he thought he knew about primitive civilizations. The walls were lined with display screens showing star charts that covered the entire galaxy, with tactical and strategic information that should have been impossible for any species to gather. Captain Chen sat across from him at a table constructed from some kind of adaptive metal that seemed to shift configuration based on the user's needs. Beside her sat Admiral Helena Vasquez, whose presence had not been mentioned in any Imperial intelligence reports. Ambassador, Admiral Vasquez began, her voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to command. Your Emperor sent you here to determine what humanity wants. The answer is quite simple. We want the Empire to stop its expansion into this arm of the galaxy. Korthal's skin shifted through several color patterns before settling on a cautious green. Admiral, the Empire has conducted expansion operations for 12 millennia. Galactic civilization depends upon the orderly incorporation of primitive species into Imperial society. Incorporation, Captain Chen repeated, her voice flat. Is that what you call the extinction of 37 million sentient species? The ambassador's skin flashed bright red before he could control the reaction. How could you possibly know classified Imperial historical records? Admiral Vasquez smiled coldly. Ambassador, humanity has been studying the Empire for 8 centuries. We know about the Corvan species that was incorporated by having their homeworld stripped of resources until the ecosystem collapsed. We know about the Fali civilization that was incorporated by forced genetic modification that eliminated their capacity for independent thought. We know about the Zarak Confederacy that was incorporated by selective breeding programs designed to create a more docile servant species. Each revelation caused Korthal's skin to cycle through increasingly agitated color patterns. The information they possessed was classified at levels that required direct Imperial authorization to access. We also know, Captain Chen continued, about the 3 species that successfully resisted Imperial expansion and were subsequently eliminated by planet-killer weapons. The Empire's definition of orderly incorporation appears to be submit or die. Ambassador Korthal's 6 arms moved in complex diplomatic gestures as he attempted to regain control of the conversation. Even if your information is accurate, the Empire represents order and stability for the galaxy. Without Imperial guidance, primitive species often destroy themselves through warfare or environmental collapse. Interesting perspective, Admiral Vasquez said. Tell me, Ambassador, what does Imperial guidance look like for species that possess technology equal to or superior to your own? The question hung in the air like a physical presence. Korthal's skin cycled through several color patterns before settling on a cautious blue-green. The Empire has never encountered such a situation. All species incorporated into Imperial society have been technologically inferior at the time of contact. Until now, Captain Chen observed. Which brings us to the current situation. Humanity possesses technology that exceeds Imperial capabilities in most categories. We have no interest in being incorporated into your empire. The question is whether the Empire can accept the existence of an independent human civilization. Korthal's training had prepared him for many diplomatic scenarios, but none had covered negotiations with a species that appeared to hold technological advantages. What exactly are you proposing? Admiral Vasquez activated the conference table's holographic display system. A 3-dimensional star chart appeared above the table's surface, showing the 3rd spiral arm of the galaxy with clear boundary markers. The human sphere of influence, she announced. 47 star systems containing over 200 habitable worlds. All are now under the protection of the Earth Federation Navy. Korthal's skin flashed bright yellow. Impossible. Imperial surveys confirmed no advanced civilizations in those systems. Your surveys were accurate at the time, Captain Chen admitted. However, over the past 3 centuries, humanity has established colonies, research stations, and defensive installations throughout this region. We've also made contact with several pre-spaceflight species that we've determined show potential for peaceful coexistence. You've made contact with primitive species? Korthal's diplomatic training warred with his genuine surprise. The Galactic Civilization Protocols strictly forbid interference with pre-spaceflight civilizations. The Galactic Civilization Protocols were written by the Empire to justify its expansion policies, Admiral Vasquez replied. Humanity follows different principles. We believe sentient species have the right to develop naturally without interference, but also the right to protection from aggressive expansion by technologically superior civilizations. The ambassador's skin shifted to a deep purple, indicating serious contemplation. You're suggesting that humanity intends to protect primitive species from Imperial expansion. We're not suggesting it, Ambassador, Captain Chen said. We're stating it as fact. Any Imperial expansion into the 47 systems under human protection will be met with military resistance. Korthal's 6 arms moved in agitated patterns as he processed the implications. Captain, you cannot seriously believe that humanity could resist the full might of the Imperial Navy. Even if your technology is advanced, the Empire commands thousands of warships. Show him, Admiral Vasquez said quietly. Captain Chen activated another section of the holographic display, and, suddenly, the conference room was filled with tactical data that made the ambassador's skin cycle through rapid color changes. Ship positions, fleet strengths, defensive installations, all displayed with mathematical precision. Currently deployed human naval assets, Chen announced. 437 frontline warships, each equipped with technology specifically designed to counter Imperial systems. 12 deep space battle stations, 46 orbital defense platforms, and enough automated defense drones to engage Imperial fleets on a 1-to-10 ratio. But, more importantly, Admiral Vasquez added, we have complete intelligence on Imperial fleet dispositions, strategic planning, and tactical doctrine. We know where every Imperial fleet is located, what their mission parameters are, and how they respond to various threat scenarios. Korthal's skin had settled into a pale white that indicated shock. How could you possibly possess such comprehensive intelligence? 8 centuries of preparation, Ambassador, Captain Chen replied. Humanity didn't spend that time just building ships and weapons. We developed intelligence networks that span the galaxy. There isn't an Imperial facility anywhere that we haven't infiltrated electronically. The ambassador's diplomatic training finally reasserted itself, and his skin shifted to a more normal blue-green. Even if your claims are accurate, the Empire will not abandon its expansion policies based on threats from a single species.
We're not making threats, Admiral Vasquez said. We're explaining reality.
The Empire's expansion has been based on technological superiority and strategic surprise.
You no longer possess either advantage in this region of space.
Captain Chen leaned forward, her expression serious but not hostile.
Ambassador, humanity doesn't want war with the Empire. But we will not allow Imperial expansion to continue unchecked. Too many civilizations have already been destroyed in the name of orderly incorporation.
What you're proposing would fundamentally alter the structure of galactic civilization, Korthal protested. The Empire has maintained peace and stability for 12 millennia. The Empire has maintained imperial peace and stability, Admiral Vasquez corrected.
Peace imposed through overwhelming force isn't truly peace at all. It's oppression with better marketing.
The ambassador's skin cycled through several color patterns as he struggled with concepts that challenged his fundamental worldview. If the Empire were to recognize human territorial claims, it would set a precedent that could encourage other species to resist imperial expansion.
Good, Captain Chen said simply.
Maybe it's time for the galaxy to have choices beyond submit or be exterminated. Korthal was quiet for several minutes, his skin shifting through contemplative purple hues.
Finally, he spoke.
I will carry your message to Emperor Vashtok. However, I must warn you that the Empire has never retreated from any territorial claim.
Then, perhaps, Admiral Vasquez said, it's time for the Empire to learn new strategies.
As the ambassador prepared to leave, Captain Chen activated one final display on the holographic projector.
Ambassador, before you go, there's one more thing you should know.
The display showed the real-time positions of Imperial fleets throughout the galaxy, with detailed tactical assessments and strategic vulnerabilities clearly marked.
This is our current intelligence on Imperial military dispositions, Chen announced.
Every fleet, every base, every strategic asset.
We're showing you this so you understand that humanity's preparation goes far beyond just defending our own territory.
Korthal's skin flashed bright red with alarm. This intelligence could only be gathered through massive espionage operations spanning centuries.
Exactly, Admiral Vasquez confirmed.
So when you return to your emperor, make sure he understands that humanity doesn't just have advanced technology.
We have perfect intelligence on every aspect of Imperial operations. The ambassador's departure left the conference room in contemplative silence.
Captain Chen stared out at the hidden fleet surrounding Omega Station, while Admiral Vasquez reviewed the tactical data on her personal display.
Think he got the message? Chen asked. Oh, he got it, Vasquez replied.
The question is whether the Emperor will accept reality or double down on 12,000 years of Imperial arrogance.
And if he chooses arrogance? Admiral Vasquez's expression was grim as she looked at the deployment orders already prepared for the human fleet.
Then, the Empire is about to learn why humans spent 8 centuries preparing for war instead of conquest. Emperor Vashtok the Eternal sat in his private chamber, surrounded by holographic displays showing intelligence reports that shattered 12,000 years of Imperial certainty. Ambassador Korthal's debriefing had lasted for 18 hours, and each detail made the situation more dire than the last.
Your Eternal Magnificence, High Scientist Mordun's cybernetic implants flickered with desperate calculations. The humans possess complete intelligence on our military operations. They know fleet positions that are classified beyond top secret.
They understand our tactical doctrines better than most of our own commanders.
General Thakkaron's scarred carapace gleamed under the chamber's quantum lighting as he reviewed tactical assessments.
Your Magnificence, if their intelligence capabilities are accurate, any military action against human territory would be anticipated and countered before our fleets could achieve strategic positioning. Worse, added Intelligence Director Vexera, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated extreme agitation. Preliminary analysis suggests they've been monitoring our communications for centuries. Every strategic plan, every technological development, every policy decision may have been compromised. Emperor Vashtok rose from his contemplation throne, his massive form radiating the authority that had conquered galaxies.
Show me the strategic analysis of human military capabilities. The holographic display shifted, revealing data that defied every assumption about technological development. Mordun's voice carried a note of scientific bewilderment as he explained the findings.
Your Magnificence, human technology represents focused development using our own designs as a foundation.
They took our most advanced concepts and improved upon them using principles we haven't discovered. Their ships generate more power, their weapons are more precise, and their defenses adapt in real time to incoming threats. More disturbing, Intelligence Director Vexera continued, their territorial claims encompass 47 star systems that we believed were uninhabited. Our failure to detect their presence suggests stealth capabilities that exceed anything in the Imperial arsenal. General Thecaron's claws scraped against his armor as he processed the tactical implications. Your Magnificence, traditional Imperial strategy relies upon technological superiority and strategic surprise. Against an enemy with superior technology and perfect intelligence about our capabilities, conventional military doctrine becomes ineffective. The Emperor began pacing, each step echoing through the chamber with the weight of absolute authority.
General, what is your assessment of our chances in direct military confrontation?
Catastrophic losses, Your Magnificence. Based on the energy signatures recorded by Admiral Zyxthor's fleet, each human warship possesses firepower equivalent to 3 Imperial battlecruisers. Their defensive systems appear designed specifically to counter our weapons technology. Furthermore, Mordun added, their territorial defensive installations include battle stations with power signatures that exceed our planet-killer weapons.
Any assault on human space would require fleet commitments that would leave the rest of the Empire vulnerable.
Emperor Vashtok stopped pacing and fixed his 4 eyes on the tactical displays.
Vulnerable to what?
Unknown, Your Magnificence, Intelligence Director Vexera admitted. If humans possess such comprehensive intelligence about Imperial operations, we must assume they've shared that information with other species. The possibility exists that human resistance could inspire uprisings throughout the Empire. The implications hung in the air like a quantum field disturbance. For 12 millennia, the Empire had ruled through technological dominance and the certainty that resistance was futile. If that certainty was compromised, the foundation of Imperial authority crumbled. Your Magnificence, a new voice interrupted the conference. Communications Director Zelmoth materialized through the chamber's quantum portal, his energy form flickering with urgency.
Priority communication from multiple Imperial governors. We're receiving reports of unusual activity in 17 separate star systems. Explain, the Emperor commanded. Unknown vessels have appeared in Imperial territory, Your Magnificence.
They match the energy signatures of human ships, but they're not engaging Imperial forces. They're broadcasting messages to planetary populations.
General Thecaron's carapace bristled with alarm. What kind of messages? Historical information, General.
Details about pre-Imperial civilizations, records of species that were incorporated into the Empire, documentation of Imperial policies that are classified at the highest levels. Emperor Vashtok felt something he had not experienced in 12,000 years, uncertainty.
They're attempting to incite rebellion.
Worse, Your Magnificence, Intelligence Director Vexera's crystalline form pulsed with agitated light patterns.
The information they're broadcasting is completely accurate. Our intelligence divisions have verified every detail.
They possess Imperial historical records that should be impossible for any external force to obtain.
High Scientist Mordun's cybernetic implants sparked with frantic calculation. Your Magnificence, if humans can access our historical databases, they may also have access to our current operational systems. Our entire information infrastructure could be compromised.
The Emperor returned to his contemplation throne, his massive form settling into the quantum crystalline structure with the weight of galactic authority. For 12 millennia, he had made decisions that affected trillions of beings across countless star systems. Now he faced a crisis that threatened the fundamental structure of Imperial civilization. Communications Director, open a priority channel to the human vessel that delivered Ambassador Korthal.
At once, Your Magnificence.
The chamber's main holographic projector activated, revealing Captain Sarah Chen standing on the bridge of the Indomitable. Her expression was calm but alert, and her eyes held the confidence of someone who held all the tactical advantages. Emperor Vashtok, Chen acknowledged with a slight nod. I understand your ambassador delivered our message. Captain Chen, the Emperor's voice carried 12,000 years of authority. Your species has made serious allegations against Imperial policies and territorial claims that cannot be recognized. Your Majesty, Chen replied, our territorial claims are supported by established settlements, defensive installations, and the sovereignty of sentient species that have chosen human protection over Imperial incorporation.
As for allegations, we prefer the term documentation.
You are broadcasting classified imperial information to planetary populations, Emperor Vashtok stated. Such actions constitute acts of war.
Chen's expression didn't change.
We're broadcasting historical information that was gathered through perfectly legal intelligence operations. Information that planetary populations have a right to know about their own histories.
Legal?
General Thakaron interjected from off-screen.
Intelligence gathering against the Empire is automatically classified as espionage.
General, Chen's voice carried a note of amusement. Espionage laws only apply to Imperial citizens. Humanity has never been part of your empire, so Imperial law has no jurisdiction over our intelligence operations. The logic was flawless, and everyone in the chamber knew it. The Empire had expanded by incorporating species into Imperial society, but that incorporation also extended Imperial legal protection to those species. Humanity had remained independent, which meant they operated outside Imperial legal authority.
Captain, Emperor Vashtok leaned forward, his four eyes focusing intently on the holographic display. What does humanity want? Simple coexistence, Your Majesty. Humanity will recognize Imperial authority over currently held Imperial territory.
In exchange, the Empire will recognize human authority over the 47 systems we've claimed and halt expansion operations in this arm of the galaxy.
And if the Empire refuses? Chen's expression grew serious.
Then, the Empire will discover that 12,000 years of expansion through technological superiority has made you vulnerable to a species that possesses superior technology.
High Scientist Mordun stepped into the projection field.
Captain, you claim technological superiority, but the Empire commands thousands of warships across hundreds of star systems. Surely numerical superiority compensates for technological advancement. Dr. Mordun, Chen replied, apparently familiar with the High Scientist's identity from stolen Imperial records. Your numerical superiority assumes you can maintain supply lines and communication networks across galactic distances.
What happens when your quantum communication arrays start failing? When your supply depot shields collapse? When your navigational computers begin providing incorrect hyperspace calculations?
The implications hit the Imperial leadership simultaneously. If humans possess the intelligence and technical capability to sabotage Imperial infrastructure, numerical superiority became meaningless.
You're threatening the entire Empire, Intelligence Director Vexera accused. I'm explaining reality, Chen corrected.
Humanity spent 8 centuries preparing for contact with the Empire.
We didn't spend that time just building weapons.
We developed the capability to defend ourselves and, if necessary, to cripple Imperial operations across the galaxy. Emperor Vashtok studied the human captain's confident expression and realized that she wasn't bluffing.
The humans possessed technology, intelligence, and strategic positioning that could genuinely threaten Imperial civilization.
Captain, he said slowly, you're asking the Empire to abandon 12,000 years of expansion policy based on threats from a species that remained hidden until recently.
Not threats, Your Majesty. Promises. Humanity will defend the 47 systems under our protection. We will assist species that choose independence over Imperial incorporation. And we will share the galaxy peacefully with any civilization that respects our territorial sovereignty. And if we refuse? Chen's expression grew cold.
Then, the galaxy will learn that the Empire's technological superiority was never as absolute as you believed.
The transmission ended, leaving the Emperor's chamber in contemplative silence.
Finally, General Thakaron spoke. Your Magnificence, they're giving us a choice between negotiated coexistence and, potentially disastrous warfare. The Empire has never negotiated with inferior species, Emperor Vashtok replied.
The question, High Scientist Mordun observed, is whether humanity actually represents an inferior species.
Emperor Vashtok contemplated the tactical displays showing human territorial claims. 47 star systems that had been under his authority only days ago, now defended by technology that exceeded his own capabilities. Open a channel to all Imperial fleet commanders, he commanded finally.
Your Magnificence? General Thakaron asked.
General, the Empire has survived for 12 millennia by adapting to changing galactic conditions.
Today, those conditions have changed dramatically.
The Emperor's four eyes blazed with the authority that had conquered galaxies, but now that authority was tempered by something new, respect for an adversary's capabilities. All Imperial forces are hereby ordered to avoid the 47 star systems claimed by the Human Federation. Any ship entering those systems will do so only with explicit diplomatic authorization. Your Magnificence, Intelligence Director Vexera protested, this sets a precedent that could encourage other species to resist Imperial authority. Perhaps, Emperor Vashtok acknowledged. But, the alternative is warfare against a species that possesses the capability to cripple Imperial operations across the galaxy.
The Empire must choose between adaptation and destruction.
6 months later, Captain Sarachan stood on the observation deck of Omega Station, watching as the first human exploration vessels departed for the Outer Rim territories. The establishment of formal territorial boundaries with the Empire had opened new possibilities for human expansion into regions that had never known Imperial authority. Captain Admiral Vasquez approached with a communication pad displaying reports from across the galaxy.
Interesting developments.
17 species have formally requested human protection status, and another 43 are making inquiries about independence from Imperial authority.
Chen smiled as she watched the human fleet disappear into hyperspace. Think the Emperor expected this outcome? Probably not, Vasquez admitted.
But, he's smart enough to recognize that warfare with humanity would have been far more destructive than negotiated coexistence. The galaxy's about to become a much more interesting place, Chen observed.
Good, Admiral Vasquez replied. Humanity never did well with boredom. In the depths of space, the first human deep space exploration vessels crossed into territories that had never known the Empire's touch.
Behind them, an entire arm of the galaxy began its first steps toward independence, protected by a species that had spent 8 centuries preparing for the day when hiding was no longer an option. The Empire had learned that technological superiority was temporary, but human determination was eternal.